let us go back in time. 6 years back to this date in 2013. Hi everybody, welcome and good morning. Here we are, it's day 8 of 31 days of Dunktober. And here I am right back where I started last Tuesday. Sitting at my breakfast table, having some breakfast. I've got my cereal, I have my cup of tea, I have some milk to go with my tea, I have my spread cheese, I have my toast in the kitchen. It's still in the toaster, toasting. That's what a toaster does, you see. It toasts. It likes to toast. Toast. Could everybody stop saying toast? I'm often asked if I like technology. You know, those modern gadgets and gizmos we all seem to have in our bags and pockets these days. If there is one thing I have learned about video making and being a presence on the internet, it's that you need to stay up to date with all the technological changes. The big thing now, of course, is smart mobile tech. From the sophisticated smartphones right up to the very latest tablet devices. If you are using the net to view or produce, you need to be tech savvy. The word savvy means to be familiar and competent with something. To have knowledge and know-how means you are savvy. I hope you enjoyed that. That was, believe it or not, 6 years ago. Meanwhile, here, right now, welcome to day 8 of 31 days of October. And of course, learning English. Yes, we have made it all the way to day 8. Hi everybody, this is Mr. Duncan in England. How are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Are you happy? Well, are you happy? I really hope so. Welcome to a very special day. Well, first of all, it is Tuesday. Also, it is a rather interesting day today because this particular day is Ada Lovelace Day. And I'm sure now one or two of you are asking, who is Ada Lovelace? Well, a little bit later on, I will tell you all about this lady and the reason why today is her day. That coming up later on. Also something to mention, I had a very strange message come through on my phone last night urging me to update my iPhone to the new operating system. Apparently, it is iOS 13 now. I have heard some rumours. I have heard some people complain about the new version of iOS for the iPhone. So I'm wondering if you have actually updated your iPhone yet to the new iOS system 13. So I haven't updated. I'm still using one of the old versions of 12. So my phone keeps telling me, please, can you update your phone to the latest iOS? So I don't really know what to do. I feel a little cautious. Let's just say I feel slightly cautious updating the software on my iPhone. That coming a little bit later on, if you want to get involved. Of course, we have the live chat as well. Hello to all the live chatters. Thank you very much for joining me today. How wonderful to see you all here. Congratulations to everyone. Thank you for giving me your time today. Of course, the reason why I'm here is very simple. Every day I am with you during October, 31 days of live English during October 2019, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. UK time, Saturday, 12, just after midday, and on Sunday, 2 p.m. UK time as well. So that is when I'm on. Yes, 31 days of October means 31 days of learning English with me, Mr. Duncan. And the reason why I'm doing this is simple, because I have been on YouTube for almost, not quite, almost 13 years. And my actual celebration takes place on the 31st of October. It's nice to see so many people on the live stream. Hello to Marus. Hello to Tanya. Hi, Tanya. Thank you for saying hello. Yaman. Hello, Yaman Darwish. I like your name. Any name that has the word wish inside it is pretty good as far as I'm concerned. Louis says, hello, Mr. Duncan. Hello, everyone. And of course, hello to all the moderators. Of course, the moderators will be here keeping an eye on the live chat to make sure everything goes smoothly. Axanth. Hello, Axanth. Nice to see you here. And thank you very much for all of your lovely little messages that you keep leaving on my videos. And it's nice to hear that you appreciate what I'm doing during October. Don't forget, everything I do here, I do it for free. I actually charge nothing. So you can watch all of my lessons, you can join me on the live chat, and it is all free of charge. However, if you would like to make a donation, you are more than welcome to do so, because I put a lot of time and effort into making these videos and also the live lessons, especially during October. So if you want to make a donation, you can, to help my work continue forever and ever and ever. Looking outside the window today. Oh, let's have a look outside, shall we? First of all, let's go into the distance. There you can see it is a slightly murky day once again, very similar to yesterday. Yesterday's weather was pretty unsettled, but this morning when I woke up, the sun was out. It was really bright and cheerful. But now you can see there is just a little bit of a mist. There is some mist in the distance. Another view. Can you see? Autumn is definitely on the way. You can see there in my garden. Now that is a view of my damson tree. And you can see that the leaves are already starting to turn. And the reason for that is simple. Autumn has started. We are now into autumn, and it really does feel like autumn has arrived. Certainly the last couple of days it has been chilly, quite windy, and quite unusual weather in some respects, because we've also had a lot of rain. Now, we don't normally have a lot of rain during autumn, but this autumn has been very wet so far. I don't know why, but we seem to be getting a lot of low pressure flying over the UK. And normally when you have low pressure, it means you have lots of rain and wind. So autumn has officially arrived right now here in the UK. I don't know what the weather is like where you are, because I'm not there, unfortunately. I have received a very interesting question, so this is something I'm going to answer now, if you don't mind. Is it okay? Here are 3 words. You can see them on the screen now. I am holding them in my hand. Fly, float, and also flee. And you will notice the spelling. So this particular word does not refer to the tiny insect that jumps around. The spelling is actually different. So I've been asked to explain the differences between fly, float, and also flee. Well, first of all, fly means to move in a certain direction through the sky, or to move from one place to another whilst in the air. So you fly. So the action of going in a certain direction whilst airborne is fly. So an aeroplane, for example, will fly. You might fly from one city to another. You take off in a plane and you fly. You move through the sky in a certain direction. You will notice that birds fly. So quite often as well, normally there is some sort of movement involved. So of course, when a bird is flying, it will flap its wings. So a bird will flap its wings. And in an aeroplane, of course, you have a mechanical engine which moves a propeller. Or in modern jet aeroplanes, of course, you have lots of fans that push the air through the engine. So fly is to move through the sky in a certain direction. Float. Now, float is a little different. Float normally means that you move gradually through the sky. And quite often, it means also that you are not using any propulsion or any type of mechanism to propel you through the sky. So fly and float are actually different. So you might see a balloon, a hot air balloon, float by. It is just being carried on the wind or on the breeze. I suppose another word you could use is glide. Glide. So you float or maybe glide. It means you use the air to stay in the sky. You float. So maybe a feather that has been caught by a breeze will float by. So to move in a certain direction gradually, quite often without any means of propulsion, unless of course it is being carried by the wind. So float, you float by. Maybe a person who goes by your house slowly might float by, even though they are not in the sky, they are on the ground. So something that moves gradually. We can also say that it floats. Maybe a ghost is in your house and it is floating. It is floating around the house. It is moving gradually. And maybe it is not on the floor. It is not standing on the floor. It is floating above you. And finally, this word, flee. Now, flee has a very different meaning from the first two words. So flee means to move away quickly, or to escape in a hurry, or to move in a certain direction from one thing towards another. You flee. So you move away very quickly. You flee. Maybe a prisoner escapes from the police station. They will flee. They flee in a certain direction. So they run away. They escape, normally on foot. So you might flee on foot. That means you run away. Or you might flee in a vehicle. So you might drive away from somewhere very quickly. So in a generic or general term, flee can just mean move away. You go away. You escape, normally in a hurry. So I hope that helps you. I like to explain things sometimes, and there you can see something that I've just explained on your screen right now. Thank you for joining me today, by the way. I do appreciate you giving your time at 18 minutes past 2 o'clock. Hello to Pedro. Pedro says, I can only stay with you for 30 minutes. That's okay, Pedro, if you have something else to do. I do understand that many of my students have a lot of other things to do, so I know you are busy with your lives, so don't worry if you can't stay with me for the whole lesson. It's all right. Don't worry about it. It's fine. So you can always catch up, and don't forget there is also a playlist now. So if you have missed any of my live streams during October, and now we are at day 8. So my previous 7 live streams can be found under this video. Right underneath this video, there is a playlist with all of my days of October. And so far we have done 7, and this is number 8. There will be new ones posted every day as soon as the live stream has finished. Caesar is here. Hi, Mr. Duncan. It is morning here and afternoon there. Yes, I imagine that Caesar is behind us, time-wise. Hello also to Palmyra. Hello to Valmecia or Valmechia. Nice to see you here as well. Alexandra. Hello, Alexandra. I haven't seen those plastic bottled milk containers in my country. Oh, I see. Do you mean the one in the video? Yes, you can buy milk in all sorts of containers in this country. So you can get plastic bottles, you can get tall bottles, you can get short bottles, and also glass bottles. So there are many people who still insist on having their milk in glass bottles instead of plastic. In fact, I remember as a child growing up, every morning at around about 6:30, maybe 7 o'clock in the morning, you would always hear the milkman. The milkman would come around the streets and he would deliver the milk to everyone. And we used to have milk delivered to our house when I was a child. And then over time, people started to buy their milk from the supermarkets. And then, of course, the internet came along and many people started ordering their milk online. Sadly, the milkman vanished. No one wanted their milk delivered by a milkman anymore. I suppose I should really say milk person, because of course this is 2019 and everyone is so pedantic. So every morning I would hear the milkman, but now sadly we rarely hear the milkman at all. However, and there is always a however, many people now have decided that they want to have their milk delivered to their houses again by a milk person. It doesn't sound right when I say milk person. I want to say milkman. I'm going to say milkman. It's a milkman. It might be a lady. It might be a man. It might be a cow. Maybe a cow has decided that it wants to deliver the milk fresh. Maybe you open your door in the morning and there is a cow standing there and you have to milk the cow by yourself. So I made myself laugh then. So that's what can happen. That's what can happen when you want your milk delivered fresh. So a lot of people have decided now that they want to have milk delivered to their house fresh by the milkman or milk lady, although that doesn't sound right. Hello, TS. Hello, everyone. I missed Monday. You missed an incredible day yesterday. We talked about an amazing topic. We talked all about mental health yesterday. And the reason why I did that is because here in the UK, we are actually having Mental Health Awareness Week. So I thought yesterday it would have been, or it was, a good idea to do that. So we looked at words and phrases connected to people's mental health. Something else also happened yesterday. Yes, I did something that I don't do very often yesterday. I made a mistake. I made a spelling mistake during my live stream. I actually spelt a certain word incorrectly. Today, I am going to show you the word. This time, I have spelt it correctly. There it is, loneliness. So this is something we looked at yesterday. However, I forgot to put the first E in the word. So I made a mistake. However, I did admit, I didn't hide it. I said, yes, I will put my hands up. I will admit that I made a mistake. So that is how you really spell the word loneliness. I know I spelt it wrong yesterday. I did admit it live yesterday. I did own up. If you own up, it means you admit to the thing that you've done. So I made a mistake and I admit it. And that is something we are going to look at today. Oh, Mr. Duncan, it is almost as if you planned this lesson. Of course I planned it. So today we're going to look at words connected to mistakes, making mistakes. Another subject we are going to look at is time. Now, I made a lesson all about time many years ago, and I always think it's a very interesting subject. The subject of, for example, quantum physics involves lots of things, including time and relativity, a very complex subject. So today we are talking about mistakes, and also we are going to take a look at time idioms, mistakes and time idioms, mistakes and time idioms. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. Time idioms and mistakes is what we are looking at today. Hello to Caesar and also Anime. Hello, Anime. Nice to see you here. Hello also to Belarusia. Hello there, Belarusia. Thank you very much once again for your lovely video that you sent on Monday. Tan Chang says, iOS 13, iOS, which is the operating system for iPhones, is very brilliant. It is worth updating. Okay then, I will do that. As soon as I finish today's live stream, I will update my iPhone. Now, my iPhone isn't a new one. It is actually very old. It is an iPhone 6S. So it isn't a new one. It's actually a few years old. Hello to IELTS Essence. Hello to you. Also, Louie. I don't have a cell phone. Really? Louie, I think you might be a very unusual person. I'm not criticising you before anyone says anything, but I think it's very unusual these days not to have a cell phone or a smartphone or anything like that, really. Beatrice, hello Mr. Duncan, I'm in Argentina. My experience in England was amazing. What lovely people. Beatrice recently was in, I think it was Bath. Am I right? Were you staying in Bath? Correct me if I'm wrong. Beatrice, I hope you had a good time, and I'm glad to hear that you met lots of wonderful people, lots of lovely people. Isn't it amazing, Mr. Duncan, how we are all sharing your English lessons as a global community of viewers, thanks to technology? Yes, Theo, I agree with you. I love technology very much. I really do. Federica, it's fantastic to see you every day, Mr. Duncan. I enjoy it a lot with all of you. Now, a couple of people, including Mr. Steve, yesterday, Mr. Steve said something to me, and I was a little excited and also a little nervous as well. So Steve said something to me yesterday concerning my live streams that I'm doing during October. Steve said, why don't you do your live streams every day, all the time? What? Do you know what? I think Steve is trying to finish me off. I think Steve is trying to kill me by overworking me. So that was Steve's idea. Steve said, wouldn't it be amazing if you did your live streams every day, all the time? I don't know. I'm not sure. I think I might collapse. I might suffer from burnout. That is the word that I mentioned yesterday. Yamen says, thank you for your lovely words. You are welcome. Hello, Andrew. Andrew, hello to you as well. Thank you also to Accent and Shakir. Hello, Shakir. Nice to see you. Mr. Duncan, I'm new here. From where should I start to watch your videos? You can start from any point. I have lots of playlists. You can look at my videos. You can read the subtitles or captions. Even my live streams. Yes, my live streams also have captions. If you press this button on your computer, press this button, you will actually get live captions. Isn't it amazing? And if you are watching on a smartphone, you can go to your settings up here and you can actually activate the captions live. Amazing. Quite often YouTube does things that really irritate me. Sometimes, however, YouTube does things that helps me. Hello to Pedro once again. I think Pedro might be going soon because it is now 2:30. Patrick, hello Mr. Duncan. I have a question. What is the difference between immigration and emigration? Immigration is incoming. So when we talk about immigration, it means people that are coming from overseas to stay in your country. So they are coming from abroad to your country. They are coming in. And emigration means to do the opposite. So people are going from your country to live in other nations or countries. So, or of course, other parts of the world. So immigrate is to come into your country from outside, and emigrate is to go out from your country to another place, normally to live. So I hope that helps you. Now today is a special day. It is Ada Lovelace Day. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, who is Ada Lovelace? Well, guess what? I am now going to explain to you exactly who Ada Lovelace was. Her name is Ada Lovelace, but, however, she was born Augusta Ada King on the 10th of December, 1815, a very long time ago. She was the daughter of the poet and politician Lord Byron. Her father had been hoping for a boy, but instead he had a daughter. In her young life, she had social contact with such people as Charles Dickens, Michael Faraday, and Charles Babbage, who she would later work with. Her work in developing the method of programming Babbage's analytic engine makes her the first ever computer programmer. Now, there is an interesting word. I will see if I can find it. Well, first of all, Charles Babbage was the man who invented something called the analytical engine. A very long time ago, in the mid-19th century, in fact. So, an analytical engine is the first ever computer. But as its name suggests, it was actually mechanical. So an analytical engine was the first version of what we now call a computer, although back then it was mechanical. And Charles Babbage was the person who created it. However, he needed a method of actually programming this machine, and it was Ada Lovelace who came up with the method of programming using holes that were punched into a card. So that is why we celebrate Ada Lovelace Day. However, there is more. Ooh. Both her work and name are now remembered every year on Ada Lovelace Day, which takes place on the second Tuesday of October, which is today. Ada Lovelace died on the 27th of November, 1852, aged 36. And it wasn't unusual for people to die at such a young age way back then, because there were many illnesses, diseases. People did not live until a ripe old age back in the mid-19th century. So I hope you enjoyed that. A little bit of information there. I always like to give you some information wherever I can, and there it was. So that is the reason why we have Ada Lovelace Day. A lot of people celebrating it. Also, it is used as a way of encouraging women into what they call STEM subjects. So an interesting word, in fact it isn't a word, it is actually a group of words, and they have taken the first letter of each word, STEM. So when we talk about STEM subjects, we are actually talking about science, technology, engineering, and also mathematics. So Ada Lovelace was actually a mathematician. She was very much into mathematics. In fact, she excelled at it. So when we talk about STEM subjects, we are talking about these particular subjects. Often, and quite often, when we refer to these in the past, we often talk about people who made innovations who were male. But of course, there were many women, many females, who were also making a contribution towards STEM subjects. So that's what we refer to when we talk about STEM. We are talking about the science, technology, engineering, and also mathematics. And for all of these subjects, you normally need a very high degree of knowledge and expertise. So I hope that helps you as well. Back to the live chat. I'm going to the bank. Apparently that's where Pedro is going. Oh, I'm now thinking, I wonder if Pedro has won the lottery. Do they have the lottery in Brazil? I think so. Mohammed says, I can't even say it. I'm sorry about that. Analytical engine was used for some operations. Yes, so when we talk about an analytical engine, it is actually the early version of what we now call a computer. Thanks for the information. It is very interesting. Thank you, Anna. You are welcome. Thanks. These are important pieces of information. So when you give some information, we can describe it as a piece of information. These are important pieces of information. So a certain piece of information is something that you receive, something that you learn from, information. You are informed, hence the word information. The thing itself informs you. The information helps you to learn. You have been informed, or of course educated. Christina, I have never won the lottery. Me neither. But then again, I don't play the lottery. That's the reason why I never win the lottery, because I don't play it. I don't take part in the lottery. I like to keep my money in my pocket. Hello also to Belarusia. Very interesting, Mr. Duncan. Thank you very much. Louis says, she was a kind of pioneer. I suppose so, yes. Ada Lovelace was a pioneer. She was the person who, for the first time, was able to program a computer. And her method of doing it was very simple. It was simply a card that had holes punched inside it, and you fed that into the machine. And the mechanical machine would read what was on the card. In fact, that method was used for many years afterwards. So it was used, I think, up until the 1970s. So they were still using that method of programming with holes punched in a card. Even in the 1970s, it was still being used. How many days will you finish this video? How many days before you will finish these videos? Thank you, Yaman. I am doing this every day during October. So these live streams, I normally do them at the weekend, but during October, I am doing them every day. So I'm doing them during October. I hope that answers your question. Hello, Choo Choo. I won the lottery 3 or even more times, but each time it was only a small amount, says Cho Oo. Still, a small amount? It's still money. I suppose it depends how much you spend. So if you spend £1,000 to play the lottery and then you win £5, then you haven't really won anything, have you? So I suppose it depends how much money you spend to actually play the lottery. As I mentioned, I never play it. I don't play the lottery. I have never tried to play the lottery because the chances of you winning very, very small, very, very tiny. In fact, you probably have more chance of being struck by lightning than winning the lottery. It's true. We are talking about a couple of things. In fact, I've just realised we only have 19 minutes left. So we are going to look at something else now. Making mistakes. Mistakes. We all make mistakes from time to time. It is a normal thing. And yesterday I made a mistake during my live stream. I made a spelling mistake yesterday. Yes. So yesterday I did make a mistake. So let's have a look, shall we? Mistakes. This is something that I wrote this morning whilst eating my breakfast. There are many ways to describe making a mistake. Something that was done incorrectly can be described as being done by mistake. A mistake is almost always done by accident and not on purpose. The reasons why a mistake was made vary and depend on the circumstances in which it occurred. So there are many reasons why a mistake can happen. A lack of care and attention, or the need to get something done quickly, can lead to a mistake being made. And that's what happened to me yesterday. Because I was rushing, I was doing things too quickly, I actually made a mistake yesterday. So that's what I did. Yesterday I made a spelling mistake because I was rushing. I was doing it too quickly. A mistake can be described in many ways. So here are some ways of describing a mistake. You have made an error. You have made a slip-up. You have done something incorrectly. You have made a gaffe. You have made a cock-up. Quite often we use that particular phrase in British English. You have made a faux pas. Faux pas comes from the French language and literally means false step. You have made a blunder. Blunder. So there are many ways of using the word mistake. Some more include you have dropped a clanger. I love that one. You have dropped a clanger. Normally used in British English. Also, you have made a boob. Now that particular word has more than one meaning, but in this case it means to make a mistake. You have made a boob, and that is used in British English. You have bungled something. You have bungled something. To get something wrong or to make a mistake. For example, a bungled bank robbery. So to bungle something means to get it wrong. Also, the words mistake derive from the Old Norse word for take in error. Take in error. So the word mistake derives from the Old Norse word for take in error. The word error derives from which itself comes from the Latin word for stray. So when we stray, it means we go off from the thing that we are supposed to be doing. Hence the word error. And I hope that was useful as well. I am doing lots of things today. I still have to squeeze in some time idioms as well. I just hope I have time to do it. Did you see what I did there? Did you see? That was very, very slick. Yeah, man. All people make mistakes. All people make mistakes. This is true. They say to err is human, to forgive divine. That is the expression that a lot of people use. Hello, Nero Zero. European history is really fascinating. Well, there is a lot of it. Lewis says, Mr. Duncan, that program system of perforated cards. So if something is perforated, it means it has one or more holes in it. So the actual card has lots of holes. It is perforated. It has one hole or maybe 100 holes. So the system of perforated cards was used in Portugal until the end of the 1960s. Yes, and it was called mechanography. Mechanography. Or mechanography. I hope I pronounced that right. I haven't actually seen that word before. I'll be honest with you, that is actually a new word. So the earliest form of computer programming was very simple. It was basically a card with holes inside it. And it was this lady, Ada Lovelace, who helped to perfect it, along with Charles Babbage, the designer of the first ever computer. Although he didn't actually call it a computer. Bayan says, I am always speaking English and making a lot of mistakes. Don't worry about it. That is how we learn. I make mistakes. You make mistakes. We all make mistakes. It is part of the learning process. So don't worry about it. Christina says humans often make mistakes. This is true. Yes, it is normal. In this way, we can learn about the mistakes and never do it again. It is a well-known phrase. We all learn from our mistakes, as long as the mistake isn't too serious. So if the mistake endangers another person's life, or maybe your own life, so sometimes a mistake can be quite disastrous indeed. Patrick, hello Patrick Hanid, hello to you. Rahul says, we learn after making any mistake. Yes, I think so. Hi, please, Mr. Duncan. What is the right start to learn English? I think, Mariam, you mean what is the correct place or the correct way to start learning English? Well, as I always say, you should learn basic words, basic sentences, simple sentences. So don't do too much. Don't try to learn too many things at once. So I always say when you learn a second language, you must learn like a child. And you should never be embarrassed to do that. So when you learn something new, always learn it as if you are a child. So use simple words. Think about how you learned your own language. How did you learn your own language when you were a child? So you can use the same methods or the same ways. Someone can make a mistake, but not for surgeons. Yes, if you are performing an operation on someone and you make a mistake, maybe your patient will die. Yes. Why don't you do your live stream every other day? I think a lot of people would like that in winter or with winter coming on. Thank you, Serene. Serene Snow. I get the feeling you like winter. So I don't know, but Mr. Steve yesterday made a very interesting comment. He said, perhaps you should do your live streams every day, forever. I'm not sure. I will see how I feel at the end of October. If I'm still alive at the end of October, we will see what happens. Tanya asks, do you like to drive a car? No, I don't drive. I don't have a car. A lot of people are quite surprised when they find out that I don't drive. But no, I've never driven a car. I don't have a car. I don't own a car. But I do walk. So normally if I go somewhere, I will walk or I will take a bus. But I don't have a car. No. Yeah, man. When I can improve my sentence? When can I improve my sentence? Well, one of the best ways to improve your grammar, because that's what we're talking about, is once again to listen and to read. So if you want to read a book, you can learn how sentences are constructed. So all of these things take time. You can't rush learning English. You really can't. Alexandra says, I think it is very exhausting to make a lesson every day. I don't feel too bad. Now, this is a question I was asked yesterday, but I don't feel too bad, to be honest. I feel quite happy, even excited to do this. We are talking about another subject now. We are talking about a thing that I am always fascinated with, and that is time. Or, in this case, we are talking about time idioms. So words and phrases connected to time. Oh, there is another word that I missed out when talking about mistakes. Here's another one, screw up. If you screw up something, it means you make an error or a mistake. Quite often, a serious mistake. So if you make a serious mistake, you screw up. You make a mistake. You make a terrible mistake. You have really screwed up. You have made a screw up. Back to those time idioms, because time is running out. Oh, did you see what I did there? So the first idiom connected to time is time on your hands. If you have time on your hands, it means you have time to spare. You have time where you are doing nothing. So if you have time on your hands, it means you have spare time, or maybe you have available time. So quite often you will hear a person talk about having time on their hands or time on your hands. Do you have some time on your hands? It means, do you have some spare time? Quite often, when we are asking a person to give us some help, we might ask if they have time on their hands. As I just mentioned, spare time is your free time. So the time when you have nothing to do, when you are not working, when you are relaxing, when you are at ease, you have spare time. And a lot of people use their spare time to do hobbies. Maybe they take up a pastime or a hobby. Zip. Take your time. Take your time. Take your time. If you take your time, it means you do something carefully. You don't rush. You take your time. Sometimes when you are explaining something, maybe the subject is very difficult to actually explain and understand. So sometimes you have to explain slowly, so you take your time. You do something steadily. You do something in a slow way. You take your time. Maybe a person is trying to explain something and they are really desperate to tell that person. Just calm down. Take your time. Don't rush. Take your time. Another one. Oh, time and time again. Time and time again. Something you have to keep doing. Something you have to keep doing. A repeated action that you have to keep doing again and again. Time and time again, I have to tell my children to stop swearing. Time and time again. It means you have to do something repeatedly. I have to go round to my neighbour's house time and time again because they keep losing their house key. Time and time again. I keep having to do it again and again. Time and time again. Another one. Ding. Time and tide wait for no man. This means that time, just like the tide, cannot be controlled. You can't control time, and you definitely can't control the tide, the sea. You can't control it. So time and tide wait for no man. In other words, don't waste time. I think that is the moral of that phrase. Here's another one. There is no time like the present. If you are going to do something, if you want to do something, maybe there is a dream, maybe there is an ambition, maybe there is something that you've always wanted to do. We might say there is no time like the present. Don't wait, don't hesitate, do it today, because there is no time like the present. Oh, from time to the sound of something telling the time. Ticking. Ticking. So in this case we have a ticking time bomb. Something that may in the future become a danger, or maybe something that might become a problem. So at the moment, it is not a problem, but maybe later it will be a problem. For example, at the moment in the news, a lot of people are talking about electronic cigarettes, vaping, and some people have described the habit of using a vaping machine as a ticking time bomb. This means in the future, the actual habit of vaping will cause medical problems in the future. Many people will become ill because of the habit. So you might describe that as a ticking time bomb, something that is going to happen in the future, normally a bad thing, and quite often the result of something that at the moment isn't a problem. A ticking time bomb. Here is something that I'm doing at the moment. I am doing this. Every day I must work around the clock. If you work around the clock, it means you work many hours, for many, many hours. Maybe you work through the morning, maybe you work through the afternoon and night. So you work around the clock. It means the hours that you work are very long. So maybe you have to work for 10 hours or 12 hours, and then maybe you have a rest for 2 hours, but then you have to go to work again after 2 hours. For example, doctors and nurses in hospitals quite often will have to work around the clock. They have to work very long and tiring hours. Finally, and this is something that I'm doing right now because it's now 3 o'clock, I am trying to beat the clock. This is great. It's almost as if I planned all of this. So it's 3 o'clock and I have to beat the clock because time is running out. And that's exactly what this means. So if you beat the clock, it means you do something or you finish something before the time runs out. And that's exactly what I'm doing at the moment. I am trying at the moment to beat the clock, even though I am now slightly late because it's 1 minute past 3 o'clock. So beat the clock. You have to do something before your time runs out. Maybe you have a deadline. Maybe you have a point of time that you have to do something before. For example, today I must finish my lesson before 3 o'clock. Unfortunately, I am now slightly late. I was trying to beat the clock, but unfortunately, I didn't succeed. That is that. We will have one last look outside. It's very windy today. You can see there the leaves on the trees have turned. Autumn has definitely arrived. And I will see you tomorrow for day 9. Wow. Tomorrow, day 9 of 31 days of October, and of course learning English every day during October. Live times, there you can see Monday to Friday 2 p.m, Saturday 12 midday UK time, Sunday 2 p.m. UK time. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you very much for your company. Thank you, Mika. Apparently Mika Ode will not be here tomorrow. I am travelling to see the autumn-coloured leaves on the mountains. Yes, I'm sure I would imagine that the landscape looks amazing. Oh, Mika, maybe, and I'm going to ask you nicely, maybe you can take some photographs. Maybe you can take a couple of photographs and send them to us for maybe Thursday or Friday. By the way, tomorrow I am in the kitchen talking about my favourite subject. Thank you to Lewis. Thank you to Rahul. Thank you to Tanjang. Thank you to Bayan. Thank you also to Louis. Thanks for your company. I am going now. I will see you tomorrow. This is Mr. Duncan in the birthplace of English saying thanks for watching. It has been a busy hour. And of course, until tomorrow, 2 p.m. UK time, you know what's coming next. Yes, you do. Ta-ta for now.